Hello and welcome to part 3 of my Pittsburgh Staycation Tour de Tea 2020, where I have visited 3 different tea services around the Pittsburgh area to sort of discover which one's the best. This is the 3rd tea service that I've had this week, but it is the 4th Pittsburgh location that I have had afternoon tea, and I will link all of those videos in the description box down below. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications because I definitely have way too much tea content. Our 3rd stop on the Tour de Tea took us north of the city up 79 to the Johnston Tea House in Mars, PA. Of the 3 teas that I booked for this week, the Johnston was definitely the one that I was looking forward to the most with the highest expectations, so I got all dolled up and I was ready for an amazing experience, which is kind of my own fault for setting the bar so high, I think. The Johnston serves tea on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday from 11 to 1:30, but they are also available for special events. There was some sort of like a bridal or baby shower, for instance, happening while we were there in a different room. So it definitely seems to focus on that, on the like shower and occasion sort of aspect. When I called to make my reservation, they wanted like a lot of information, like my name, my phone number, my address, etc., etc., and they had me pay in advance. So I definitely am not quite used to that for making a tea reservation. There have been 1 or 2 that they definitely want you to pay in advance, but I don't think I've ever had to give so much information just to make a reservation before. It kind of felt more like I was reserving a hotel room than a spot for afternoon tea. It was kind of nice though to know that I was going to be charged exactly $35 per person and that it was going to include both tax and tip. So having the whole thing lined up and you know exactly what you're going to spend before you even show up, if you're one of those people that is definitely a major planner, that is a definite benefit. And the pictures online were gorgeous. It is exactly this sort of look and feel that I conjure up in my mind if I picture like the perfect afternoon tea experience. It's all pinks and creams and golds and gilt and chandeliers, and it's just sparkling and magical and glorious in the pictures. So I definitely picked my fanciest dress, I curled my hair, I was ready for a beautiful day of afternoon tea and feeling like a princess. And aesthetically, when I showed up, I was blown away. It is a very pretty location. As soon as they were taking us to the table, I'm looking around and thinking, oh, this is going to be fantastic. It's beautiful. There's a big full chandelier. There's beautiful antique furniture. There's gold and cream and pretty tablecloths. I'm like, this is going to be so nice, and I was so excited. When we were seated, we were offered a variety of beverages like iced tea, lemonade, etc., but we cut straight to the chase and said we were here for the tea. Then I started looking at the table setting and I was a little surprised. There were these little plastic tongs for each of us at our place settings, and they very much reminded me of the kind of thing that you would find at like a salad bar, like at Eaton Park or Shoney's or something. Not so much a traditional afternoon tea. I really immediately looked at the rest of the table setting and thought that that definitely cheapened the whole table setting, and I was very surprised to see that. I've never seen that at a tea before, so kind of odd. I was also given a plate that had my cream and my jam in little plastic, like the little cups that you would get like salad dressing with your takeout in, or the sauce at the hibachi or whatever. So I was a little confused by that. I mean, again, I felt like these little cheap plastic cups on a nice fancy plate with this beautiful setting and everything, it just didn't jive for me. It seemed a little strange and definitely brought down the aesthetic of our table setting like immediately between that and the tongs. And I was trying to like sort of minimize them in the pictures because I really wanted to have some great pictures from this. And the Johnston is definitely one of those tea services where you're there for tea and they bring you your tiered server and it has the offerings of the day. There's no options, no choices. You get to choose your tea, but you don't get to choose what scone or sandwiches or whatnot you get, but that's pretty standard for most afternoon teas. As for the tea itself, I wasn't super impressed. It was all bagged tea, and if you've watched my last couple of tea videos, you'll understand my issues there, I should say. Nothing wrong with bagged tea, but it does have its downfalls in certain settings, and this seemed like one of those again. We were given our pot of tea and then several tea bags, so by the time you got to your last tea bag, your hot water was not terribly hot anymore. And as for the actual tea selection, wasn't terribly impressed there either because most of the flavors seemed very basic. Nothing really sounded all that exciting. I did try a couple that were a little more on the unusual side, a little less standard, but even then nothing was super like, oh my gosh, that was an amazing tea. I also wasn't super impressed with how they offer the tea because they basically come around with a box very much like this one that I have in my own kitchen. It was a lovely Christmas gift. Isn't it super cute? I got it. Love it. But inside we have an assortment of tea bags. But almost all of the ones they offered us were put in like this, you know, where you can't actually read them. And she went through and she said, oh, this is like a coconut oolong, and this is English breakfast, and this is Paris breakfast, and da-da-da. And she went through and she just described them very, very quickly. Like English breakfast, this is a chai, this is that, this is something something, this is da-da-da-da. So you had to sort of keep a running list in your head of teas that you would like to try because she's rattling them off very quickly and you can't read the labels, plus she's several feet away from you. So it was very odd, and I felt very like pressured to just take a tea, just pick a tea, take a tea, please. As for the actual food, these scones were very fresh and they were good. They were more of a traditional biscuity type scone than the sort of sweet cookie one that you sometimes find at an American tea. So that was nice, but it was just a basic plain scone. I don't know that I've ever actually gone to an afternoon tea setting and just been given plain scones. Usually at least one of them has some sort of flavoring to it, but I could live with that. It's fine if they're going more basic. I don't know, but in this big fancy room with all the pretty antiques and everything, somehow I kind of expected more than just a plain scone. I mean, I can go to Whole Foods and hit up their bakery section and get several interesting flavor options for scones. So why this place that's offering a fancy tea service just had plain scones to me seemed a little basic. Moving on to the savories, there was a quiche, which was very good. It was fresh, it was warm, it was delicious. There was a small phyllo cup that was filled with artichoke dip. Next was a cucumber sandwich, which was, again, basic but very good. No complaints there at all. It's a cucumber sandwich. Yes, I've had some with weird twists and stuff, but there was nothing wrong with a plain, simple, basic cucumber sandwich. And finally was sort of half of a croissant stuffed with chicken salad and then dipped in almonds, which was also very good. The savory course was probably my favorite part food-wise here. It was not stingy, but also not overly generous proportions, kind of on par with the serving sizes I typically expect to find at an afternoon tea. For dessert, I was served a lemon poppy seed bread, a small chocolate thimble filled with chocolate mousse, and a small tart with a fresh raspberry on top. Again, these are all fine, and they all made sense in the setting of an afternoon tea, but they also mostly seemed pretty basic. Like the lemon poppy seed bread, literally I could probably go to my local grocery store and pick up a whole bunch of that, like in one of the little plastic clamshell things at the bakery department, already sliced, take one of those, put it on the plate, and it would have been exactly the same. I didn't taste it and be like, oh my god, this is the most amazing poppy seed bread I've ever had in my life. It was just okay, it was fine, it was good, but again, kind of basic. I will say that the little thimble with the chocolate mousse was a very rich, dark, very flavorful chocolate, and I actually really did enjoy that, but it was literally one bite. One bite that was like, wow, that was an amazing dessert. So, I will say the venue is gorgeous. So if you're not like my friends and I who can throw together a shower with all the cups and saucers and pots and tiered servers, etc., for like 25, 30 people, no problem, and you want to go somewhere and have them do all the work for you, which totally get that, this is a great location. It's beautiful, the food is very acceptable, the tea is fine, because most of the people that are going to be going to like a tea shower aren't big tea experts. It was charming and elegant, and in my pretty pink lace dress, I kind of felt like a princess for a little bit. I just kind of feel like the actual presentation of the tea and the food was just a little bit lacking considering the scale of the ambiance in the room that I was in. The Johnston house is also north of the city, which is a completely different direction than any of the other places that I've been. So if you're north of the city, you're not going to want to maybe travel as far as some of the other ones that I have gone to, because not everyone travels like forever to get tea like I do. I hope you found this helpful and inspiring. If you did, remember to like the video. I hope you will subscribe and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new video. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.